has to change for the Sooners if they are going to win this afternoon in the finale and stave off their first series loss in the Southeastern Conference. Abigail Dayton is back to the top of the lineup for Oklahoma. She'll be followed by Nellie McEnroe Marinas, Cassidy Pickering, Abby Garcia, Ella Parker, Sydney Sanders in the middle. Third, Ilana Agbiani, Isabella Emberling, and Sydney Barker rounded out. And Sam Landry will get the ball for Oklahoma again, just as she did in the first game when she was magnificent. Umpires are Dave Reinecker behind the plate, Scott Mayer at first, Tatum Stolting at third. Up and away, 2-1. Dayton hitting .320 this year. She has a homer and 3 batted in. She scored 31 runs. 1 out of 4, a couple of walks in the series. And it's 2-2. Up and in, full count. One of the things we talked about early on in the game yesterday is how patient Oklahoma was, in particular the first time through the lineup. Made Sierra Harrison work. The first 2 Sooners and 3 of the first 5 saw full counts. Dayton in the air to center. Claire Cahalan is there, 1 away.
This Oklahoma lineup being very patient at the plate, making the Mizzou pitchers get deep into counts. It's going to throw that pitch count up for them, which is probably why we saw Pinnell come in the bottom, or in the top of the 5th, as opposed to coming in later in the 6th or the 7th. She's normally in that closer role, but Sierra Harrison's numbers were so high at that point that they had been through the lineup at least twice. So trying to get the Oklahoma hitters off balance in the box by seeing a different pitcher.
Nellie McEnroe Marinas pops it up on the right side. Sophie Smith, the second baseman, for the second out. McEnroe Marinas supplied the only Oklahoma run with a solo shot leading off the 7th yesterday. In fact, all 8 Oklahoma runs, or all 9, I should say, in the series have been scored on homers. 3 on Friday, 1 yesterday. Ball 1 to Cassidy Pickering. Hitting .361 this year, 8 homers, 28 batted in. What can Marissa McCann do to mix things up, especially the first time or two? She'll want to get through at least 1 time of the Oklahoma order, preferably twice, but they already saw her a couple of times on Friday.
Well, we saw McCann on Friday. She wasn't mixing in her changeup as much as she needs to be successful against a team that can hit the ball as well as Oklahoma can.
Outside corner, or looked like Dave Reinecker might have called that on the swing by Pickering. Either way, 1-2.
The other thing we saw McCann do in the first game on Friday night, she wasn't getting ahead of the Oklahoma hitters, so she was having to come back, throw the ball way over the middle of the plate. And again, against this dangerous of a lineup, you can't throw the ball over the middle of the plate.
Strike 3 called. Marissa McCann gets a 1-2-3 first inning. Missouri, Oklahoma, as she was on Friday when she threw 5 one-hit innings in a shutout 8-0 win for Oklahoma in 5. She is 8-0 with a 1.35 earned run average this year. It's her 14th appearance, her 8th start for the Sooners. She has struck out 73 batters. She has walked 7.
She's been so impressive in the circle for Oklahoma. This transfer, senior, that can be a tough year to transfer. You played 3 years at one school coming in to be a senior, and she has just stepped in beautifully to really claim that ace status for Oklahoma.
Julia Crenshaw leads off for Missouri. Shows bunt, takes a strike. Crenshaw hitting .372 this year. She has 8 homers. She's batted in 23. 2 out of 5, pair of singles and a walk in the series. She had the only Missouri hit off of Landry on Friday. Down the left field line, foul. That's where the hit went, on a line drive in the 3rd inning of the series opener.
Crenshaw really the catalyst to this Missouri lineup. She offers so many different options. You saw her show bunt there to lead off the game, but she has a lot of pop off her bat. Has a lot of RBIs for a leadoff hitter.
Landry's 0-2. She struck out 4 and walked 1 in those 5 innings on Friday. Also hit a batter and allowed 1 to reach on an error. Off the outside, 2-2. Crenshaw swings and misses, and Sam Landry picks up with a strikeout. Her first today, her 5th in 5 1/3 innings this weekend.
Great pitch by Landry. She sets up Crenshaw with her outside curveball on the pitch before. Comes right back at her with this rise ball up the middle. Crenshaw just a little bit behind that pitch.
Here's Madison Walker. Fouls away the first pitch down the right side into the Oklahoma bullpen. Walker hitting .267, a team high 13 home runs. 34 runs batted in this year. Time called late. Speaking of catalysts, Madison Walker certainly a catalyst for the upset. The Missouri pitchers have to probably come first on the accolades, but she would probably be first among the hitters. She and Taylor Ebbs, who had a couple of hits, just inside 1-1. Walker had a solo home run out to center to open the scoring in the bottom of the 1st inning yesterday.
That's really the difference maker. On Friday night, Oklahoma came out in the top half of that 1st inning, scored 3 runs, kind of puts Missouri on their heels the entire game. Then to flip the script on Saturday, Missouri comes out, scores in the bottom of the 1st inning, kind of puts Oklahoma on their heels.
Yeah, we showed you yesterday. It literally got the Mizzou dugout jumping. Landry's 1-2 offering. Walker lunges for what would have been ball 2, but stays alive. And misses. Back-to-back strikeouts for Landry, getting Crenshaw and Walker to open the 1st. What a luxury to be able to go to somebody like Sam Landry coming off the 1st loss of the season. Kara Daly stands in.
We saw Landry warming up in the bullpen yesterday, late in the game, just to see. It would have been interesting to see if Oklahoma would have tied the game in the top of the 7th, if Landry would have come out to throw that bottom of the 7th for them.
Kara Daly pops it a mile high and out of play. Daly at .284, 6 homers, 24 knocked in. Chopper to third. McEnroe Marinas can't handle the short hop, but it's an infield hit for Kara Daly. Her first hit of the series. She'll take it however she can get it.
Daly kind of beats this ball into the ground. Able to get that's a tough play for McEnroe Marinas to come in on that ball. To have any shot, she's going to have to get it before it hits the ground that second time.
So here's Taylor Ebbs. If Madison Walker was the starter for Missouri, Ebbs was the finisher. Had a single and scored what turned out to be the game-winning run. Missouri's second of the first inning on a Stefania Abriscato RBI double, and then added to it with a homer later. Behind 0-2.
See 2 straight changeups from Landry out there. She throws the ball really hard. She's in the high 60s, hits 70 sometimes, and her changeup's about 12 miles an hour slower than that. And you see Ebbs just out in front on both of those pitches.
Ebbs to third. McEnroe Marinas knocks it down and beats Ebbs by a step to get out of the inning. Sam Landry allows a 2-out infield single, but it's a clean first for the season, losing its first ever game in the SEC. But that was Missouri's first SEC win, and the Tigers are going to need a few. Their mindset, as it has to be when you're a team probably headed toward the bottom half of the SEC, is making sure you are at least 500 and therefore eligible for an NCAA regional, because we know that the selection committee is going to respect the SEC. They have consistently. They have no choice but to respect it even more now with Texas and Oklahoma in the league. But if you're under 500, their hands are tied.
Well, not just respecting the SEC. Missouri is playing the 4th hardest schedule in the country right now. So, and that's not going to change with them playing the rest of the SEC ball. So regardless of how hard your schedule is, you still have to be 500. And something Coach Anderson talked to us about earlier in the week, and before even their tournament a couple weekends ago, is that they have to be at 500, and they really need to kind of buckle down and focus, refocus, and gain some confidence. And that's exactly what yesterday did, knowing that now that you can beat Oklahoma, you can play with any team in the nation.
Two balls, no strikes on Gabby Garcia, the Sooners' cleanup hitter. She's batting at .405 this year, 10 home runs, 27 RBIs. She'll be followed by Ella Parker and Sydney Sanders in the OU second. Garcia pulls it to Smith. One retired. For Missouri fans, it's shades of that 2018 year under interim head coach Gina Fogue, when the story was really the same for Missouri. Everybody thought the resume was strong enough to get in. The question was, would they be eligible at 500 or better? They did just squeak in. Here's Ella Parker. .453 hitter this year, 5 homers, 26 batted in. Larissa Anderson's been honest about it too, that maybe if she had it to do over again, she would have tried to schedule something a little bit easier in the non-conference. The upside is that there were some really good wins mixed in there. Beat Duke, beat Northwestern.
They saw a lot of success early in the season against those top, ranked opponents. Kind of faltered a little bit. They're not young on paper, but that pitching staff lost their ace and their, innings getter who would go out there, and Lauren Kring. So a little bit different mindset that the pitchers had to come in with. And when we talked to Coach Anderson, they got swept by Kentucky, and she's mentioned we had enough hits, we had enough runs to win the games, and we didn't do it defensively. Our pitchers need to step up, and kudos to them. They came strong this weekend against Oklahoma.
Over the first 4 weekends, Missouri played 21 games in non-conference. Only 4 of them were against teams outside the Power Four. So they've essentially played conference games, not SEC games, but they've essentially played conference games the whole year. Smith on the attack. Nice underhand flip, and then she bit the dirt for her troubles. It's a little bit wet today, too, so she's going to wear that one up and down the gold uniform for the rest of the afternoon.
That's what you need. You want the uniform to be dirty, right? You don't want it to be clean.
But I think it was Chipper Jones used to say, I never felt like I was in the game until my uniform had some dirt on it. I think he changed that stance in his 30s. That was, you know, he said that in his 20s. I don't know that he felt that way at 36, 37 years old. But Sophie Smith is a freshman, so she'll get dirty. Ball one on Sydney Sanders. 344 this year. 6 home runs, 19 RBIs. That need to get to 500 made Missouri getting swept in Lexington a couple of weekends ago to open SEC play against Kentucky all the more painful, especially because they lost those games by 2, by 1, and by 3. All were winnable games. And frankly, all were games where if they'd gotten half the pitching performance they got yesterday, they would have won easily.
And I know that Oklahoma run ruled Mizzou on Friday night. It was a quiet run rule, which I don't think you normally would say, but it was those 3 home runs they had. You know, what led to that is if you have walks, if you have some errors that are going to get runners on, and then you're going to have that home run. That's a big difference. You saw the 1 home run yesterday from Oklahoma, but just a single run home run, and that's going to keep you in a ball game.
Yeah, I think in some ways it shows you how fine the margins are if you are a home run-centric offense, because Oklahoma run ruled in 5 innings on Friday in a game that didn't feel that lopsided, and then lost 3-1 in a game where it didn't feel their offense was terrible. They had similar traffic in both games on the base paths. They just didn't get the big hits yesterday. Full count on Sanders. We're 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. You're talking about if they'd had 2 hits and they're both home runs like they were on Friday with runners in scoring position, they might have won the game 5-6-3.
Yeah, and you could tell Larissa Anderson yesterday taking each base runner and really being strategic about when she was using pinch runners, and each run would have mattered, really trying to get insurance runs for her pitchers.
Up and in, ball 4. Oklahoma has its first base runner on a 2-out walk to Sanders, one that will frustrate McCann because she was in the driver's seat there.
Number 50, second baseman, Ilana Agbayani.
Brings up Ilana Agbayani, who's been very good in this series. For the year, she's hitting .355 with a homer and 22 RBIs. She is 3 out of 5 with a walk and a double across the first 2 games of the weekend. Off the corner, ball 1. And it's the first at bat with runner on base for Oklahoma in this game. That was the issue yesterday, no question. They had 1 hit with runners on, none with runners in scoring position. That said, if we're going to talk about how disappointing it is for Missouri to have been swept by Kentucky, especially in the context of needing to be 500, again, to be totally honest, you'd have to view yesterday as a bonus win that Mizzou could not have counted on. If they would have expected to win at least 1 or more in Kentucky, they wouldn't have been counting on anything out of this series. Agbayani down the left side and foul. Not that they didn't think they could win, but you'd be crazy to come into a series with 28-0 Oklahoma thinking, oh, we'll get at least 1.
That's not something you're automatically going to put in your win column of, oh, I know we can get 1, I know we can get 2 of these. I think that's why Coach Anderson was so frustrated with the Kentucky losses, is that they were such winnable games, and they really needed that with Kentucky not being ranked.
Does say a lot about the depth of the SEC that one of only a couple of unranked teams in the league is the first one to hand Oklahoma a loss. Topper foul on the first base side, still 2-2. 2-out walk to Sanders. She's at first. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Agbayani. McCann brings it in. Lifted to left center. Kohler called off by Cahalan, and the inning is over. No runs, no hits, 1 left. So the home second we go, still scoreless. If anything, do you think is the message to her club trying to bounce back today?
She's really got to keep them calm. You mentioned they're young. They're very young on paper. They've had some games where they've had to come back from, where they've been playing from behind. But again, their first loss of the season, this young Oklahoma offense and middle infield, they haven't really had that adversity to have to bounce back from that.
The other thing is, even the kids like a Sam Landry, like some of their other upperclassmen transfers, not that Landry participated in the loss yesterday in any way. It's one thing to say, I lost a game when I was at Louisiana. I lost a game at Utah. I lost a game at BYU. I lost a game at North Carolina. It's another thing to lose a game at Oklahoma because of the microscope that this program is under locally in terms of the fan base that they have, the local media attention they get, and nationally, because if there's one team that a casual softball fan or even just a casual college sports fan who doesn't really care about softball knows, it's the Oklahoma Sooners. When they lose a game, just one in the regular season, it's plastered all over the internet. Missouri's lost 14 games, and people did not read about it on Instagram.
You're absolutely right. And 4-time national champ, everyone, they have a target on their back from every single team that they play. Everyone wants to beat them. They are everyone's Super Bowl, and that's got to be, it's tough for pitchers. It's tough for a young Oklahoma offense and defense to come in and kind of reevaluate that.
So it's 3-0, maybe a little bit up, but this is the second time this weekend that a Missouri hitter has tossed the bat thinking they were getting a walk. Probably not a habit you want to get into. And Abrascato waves in front of a changeup. Now she's got to really buckle down on 3-2. It was Madison Updegrove who did it earlier in the weekend. Landry's payoff. Abrascato waves and misses, and from 3-0 down, Landry comes back for a 3rd strikeout early on today.
Landry's changeup has been so good for her today. It's really throwing Missouri off, especially with 2 strikes. You see Abrascato out in front there, can't hold up on that ball. That's out of the zone, definitely ball 4, but she's been so good with this changeup. It's really hard to lay off.
Strike to Madison Updegrove. Hitting .246, 2 homers, 9 batted in on her freshman campaign. She is hitless in 4 trips in this series. Let's have a walk on the weekend. One and 2. Didn't miss by much. Patty Gesso had a word or two from the first base dugout for Dave Reinecker. I think you're wondering if the 3-0 pitch to Abrascato was a strike. Where did that one miss? And it puts you in a tough spot as a plate umpire, because what's he supposed to do? Look in the dugout and go, Patty, that was the 3-0 strike zone.
That's right.
Okay, we both know it's a little different.
I'm going to open it up a little bit on 3-0.
Landry's 2-2 again. Wave and a miss by Updegrove. 4 strikeouts on Friday in 5 innings for Landry. 4 already in 2 2/3 today.
Landry's been throwing this changeup so well, but then she comes back with this rise ball. It's so hard to lay off of.
Here's Sophie Smith. Takes ball 1. Smith is 3 out of 18 so far in limited opportunities of her first year. Does not have an extra base hit. She's driven in 1. Driven to right field, well hit to the wall. It is off the base of the fence. The first career extra base hit for Sophie Smith, and she's in scoring position with 2 out.
Great at bat by Sophie Smith. Takes this outside pitch from Landry and goes that direction with it. She did such a good job sitting back in the box, not trying to do too much. Landry throws so hard, she really just has to get a good swing on it. And that power is going to come from the pitch that's coming in. She does a great job driving that over the right fielder's head.
So now Addie Kohler, Sophie Smith's first collegiate extra base hit. And Missouri did not like that call. In her 8th career start, Addie Kohler is in just her 2nd collegiate start. Her first one was not even 24 hours ago. She is 3 out of 7 this year. Rolled up first and foul. She did have a base hit in her first at bat yesterday, which was her first career SEC hit. One for 3 in the series, 1 out of 4 in her SEC career. Had 1 at bat last year in the league in March against Tennessee and struck out. Looks much more comfortable at the plate this season. Wave and a miss by Kohler. Landry gets a 5th strikeout and in fact K's the side around a 2-out Sophie Smith double. We go to the 3rd, no score. Not that she's needed the help. Landry has 5 strikeouts through 2 frames. Meanwhile, Oklahoma has just 1 base runner against Marissa McCann. It was a 2-out walk to Sydney Sanders in the 2nd inning. So 8, 9, and 1 are scheduled here against McCann. Isabella Emmerling, the catcher, is the first to hit. Sydney Barker and Abigail Dayton will follow for OU in the visitors' 3rd. Emmerling hitting .250 this year, 8 homers. She's driven in 24. Only has 1 other extra base hit. She has 1 double. So when she connects, it usually leaves the ballpark. In fact, nearly half of her hits are homers, 8 out of 17.
Coach Gasso mentioned she's got this big swing, so with the big swing is going to come big results, but also if it's not going to be that big result, you're going to see a lot of strikeouts, you're going to see a lot of high fly balls with the misses on the swings.
And she's only struck out once. She's 0 for 5 in the series, but only 1 has been a punch out. Sort of atypical for Emmerling. Generally, if she's putting the ball in play, she's going to get pretty good results. It's the putting the ball in play that sometimes is problematic. Awkward spinner to short, handled well by Updegrove, and again she almost takes Madison Walker's mitt off at first. Walker looks up to say, did I catch it? Okay, is my glove and hand still attached?
Are they all there? You see her looking at the palm of her hand while she's coming in. Updegrove has a great arm over there at shortstop. That ball looks like a routine ground ball, but the spin coming off of that bat was really funky and weird. Updegrove does a great job staying down on it. And there's no doubt that she's going to get that ball over to first base in a hurry.
Sydney Barker now the number 9 hitter. Freshman batting .344. She has 4 homers, 22 batted in. Hasn't been an every game starter for the Sooners. It's her 15th start out of Oklahoma's 30 games. You know, the other thing on the Updegrove point is it's one thing to have a great arm. It's another thing as a freshman who's getting the opportunity again at shortstop in a series like this to not be afraid to rip it. And she has been ripping it.
She has not hesitated at all over there at shortstop, which sometimes as a shortstop, you just have that mentality. Even if you're a freshman, it doesn't really matter to you. You're still going to have that mentality. We've seen Updegrove play a little bit of second base, which sometimes I think that throw from her at second base is a little, it's so hard it kind of throws the first baseman off.
McCann's 1-1 delivery. Looked like a slightly hesitant swing from Sydney Barker, which is something Patty Yasso said to us during the game yesterday when we talked to her in the middle innings. She felt like their swings were hesitant. They were late as a result. They just weren't swinging with intent, which is unbelievable because you'd think they'd be brimming with confidence. The season they've had, the numbers they put up, all the wins.
That's a little bit of the youth showing, and even, you know, some of their upperclassmen are transfers, so it's a little, they're not necessarily the leaders that you would expect them to be because they haven't been with the program as long. So a little bit of that youth showing yesterday when they weren't as successful in the, you know, early innings, kind of waving at some pitches that we didn't see on Friday night.
It's a good point about probably wanting to be in a program for a little while before you feel comfortable leading. Nelly McEnroe-Marinas wears the C this year, just a redshirt freshman, had not played in a game for OU. In fact, you'd think, assuming somehow she doesn't get stripped of the captaincy at some point, which would be a shocker, if she plays her entire career at Oklahoma, she'll probably never play a game without the C. Barker pops it up, foul ground near the plate. Daly makes the call and the catch. Good assertive play by Kara Daly, because that was going to be really tricky for Julia Crenshaw if she had to try to go for it.
And I think that's where you see that leadership come in from Daly. We've seen her playing a little bit of shortstop. She has been most comfortable at third base, really established herself as a great defensive third baseman. Great job coming in, calling off Crenshaw. That would be an incredibly hard play for a catcher to turn around and make that catch.
Top of the order, Abigail Dayton. She flied to center her first time. Sprayed foul up the left side, 1-2. Patty Yasso has the heavy coat on today. This is more the Columbia, Missouri temperatures she remembers, although it's warming up as the sun comes out. But it was a feels-like temperature in the 30s this morning. Little off speed, and Dayton held up, 2-2.
Dayton has so many options as a hitter at the plate. We've seen her show bunt. She can slap. She got down in the count 1-2. Now you're seeing her stand still there as a hitter to be able to swing away.
Inside corner, strike three call. 1-2-3 inning for McCann. Bounce. An infield single by Kara Daly in the first inning. A double off the right field wall by Sophie Smith in the second. 9-1-2 scheduled against her in the home third. Claire Cahalan will be first. Then Julia Crenshaw and Madison Walker. Off the outside of ball to Cahalan. 291 hitter. Has not homered. Driven in 4. In fact, she has neither a homer nor a double, but she does have 3 triples. Hard hit to second, but right at Garcia for the out. Should say at Agbayani, and there's one away. Slightly better results first time through the lineup for Missouri against Sam Landry than they had on Friday. The 5 strikeouts notwithstanding. Julia Crenshaw takes slow for a ball. Smith and Cahalan, the 7 and 9 hitters, made hard contact, but not a lot of contact, period. Crenshaw struck out her first time. Crenshaw, left field, and gone. For the second day in a row, Missouri strikes first on top-ranked Oklahoma.
What an at-bat by Crenshaw, coming back after striking out on 3 straight pitches in her first at-bat. Absolutely destroys that ball over the left center wall. Landry leaves this rise ball up just a little too much in the zone for Crenshaw. She manages to get on top.
Ninth home run of the season for Julia Crenshaw, second only to Madison Walker, who stands in now on the club. Walker just mishit that one. It carries to right, but not far enough. Barker in front of the track for the catch. That was not far from homers on back-to-back pitches. Just skewed off Walker's bat a little bit.
We've seen Madison Walker be really aggressive at the plate. It definitely paid off yesterday for her in her first at-bat. She is first, second pitch swinging when she's going up there, knowing that the pitchers are trying to get ahead of the hitters. Like Landry has done such a great job of getting ahead of hitters. So as a hitter, if you can go in with that mindset of this is what I'm looking for, I'm going first pitch.
And the wind is blowing out to right field again today, although not nearly as hard as it was on Friday evening. Kara Daly now. Had an infield single her first time, but Landry has her decidedly off balance on these first two. Shows you how much can change, though, second time seeing even an elite arm like Landry, because it took a while Friday before she was having to mix it up at all. Her velocity was just blowing Missouri away. That is not the case today.
No, she was not. She did not have to rely on her changeup hardly at all on Friday night. We've seen her throw that pitch a lot in these first 3 innings.
Everybody clap your hands.
Swing and a miss. Landry strikes out Daly to get out of the inning, but the damage is done. Julia Crenshaw gives Missouri a 1-0 lead. 1-0 as we go to the 4th in Columbia today, and the bats out of nowhere for the Sooners after 8 runs on 3 homers in just 5 innings Friday night have gone really quiet. They have just 1 run in their last 10 offensive innings against Missouri, and it was on a solo homer in the 7th inning yesterday by Nellie McEnroe-Marinas, who leads off here. McEnroe-Marinas popped up to the second baseman Smith back in the 1st inning. Oklahoma has had just 1 base runner against McCann on a Sydney Sanders walk with 2 outs in the 2nd. Driven, center field, way back and gone. Nellie McEnroe-Marinas has homered in all 3 games of the weekend, and just a couple of pitches later, she puts the Sooners right back level.
McEnroe-Marinas does such a good job at the plate. She's such a deadly hitter, has a lot of power. McCann has to leave this ball over too much of the white of the plate after getting down 1-0 in the count. Does a great job of just driving that ball right back up the middle.
The first Oklahoma hit is a big one. Now Cassidy Pickering. How about the captain's at bats that we've seen from Nellie McEnroe-Marinas this weekend. It's one thing to be captain mowing down mid-majors in non-conference. It's another thing to be captain after losing a first game of the season and falling behind the very next day.
And as a redshirt freshman, she's not even like your typical captain who's going to be a junior or senior who's going to come in. She earned that right as a redshirt freshman after not playing last year and really has led this Oklahoma offense.
Pickering struck out looking her first time. Ahead in the count, 2 balls and a strike. Crenshaw homer in the 3rd. McEnroe-Marinas homer in the 4th. It's the 10th of the year for McEnroe-Marinas, ties her for the team lead with Gabby Garcia. And one apiece in the 3 games this weekend. She's now 4 out of 7, 3 homers, and was hit by a pitch in the series. Now the 2-1 pitch. Ten runs for Oklahoma this weekend. All have scored via the long ball. 5 homers, 3 of them off the bat of McEnroe-Marinas. Pickering waves and misses. She strikes out for the 2nd time in as many at-bats today. First out in this 4th inning.
Great job by McCann coming back after giving up the leadoff home run and coming back to get that big strikeout.
McEnroe-Marinas was one of 3 Sooners to homer on Friday. Gabby Garcia had the first inning blow that made it 3-0 Oklahoma right from the jump. Ella Parker had the 3rd and final home run for Oklahoma. Though that was not against McCann. That came off J.C. Cruzy, who came out of the bullpen in the 5th. So the 3rd home run McCann has conceded, and to your point, that's not an easy thing to immediately give up that lead and have to regroup with an entire inning still in front of her. Garcia ripped to first, taken on a short hop by Madison Walker, who has not been at first base for much of the year and has not looked entirely comfortable over there this weekend, but that was a tricky play and she made it well.
She made a really great play on that, stayed down, was able to, you have a lot more time at first base than you do at third base, which is where we've seen Walker playing. Does a great job staying down on it and gets the out for McCann.
Here's the aforementioned Ella Parker. Just missed ball 1. Parker grounded out to the second baseman Sophie Smith back in the 2nd inning. Into the Missouri bullpen where Sierra Harrison is up and loosening. The tough thing for Missouri now is those top 3 arms. Oklahoma's seen them all. And although Harrison pitched well 4 scoreless innings in her start yesterday, they weren't exactly easy innings.
Oklahoma went very deep into counts with Harrison. Harrison, runners in scoring position. She'd come up big with a strikeout or to get a ground out pop fly, but a lot of very long innings for her out there. A lot of pitches that she had to throw.
McCann ahead of Parker, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Into center, Cahalan there, inning over. Well, the damage done. Nellie McEnroe-Marinas with her 3rd home run in 3 games this weekend to lead off the 4th and get the top-ranked Sooners right back on terms. Even 6 hitters for Missouri. Taylor Ebb, Stefania Abrascato, and Madison Updegrove. Ebbs grounded out to third back in the first inning. Just missed 2-0. Two balls, two strikes.
Ebbs started this at bat ahead in the count 2-0, then kind of took a half swing on that next pitch, which if you're ahead in the count 2-0, you got to know exactly what you're looking for and go at that pitch hard. Now fouling 2 pitches off, you're back even in the count 2-2.
Wave and a miss by Ebbs. So Landry comes back from 2-0 for yet another strikeout. Landry has K'd 7 Tigers now.
Landry had been working the outside corner with a screwball and rise ball, comes back with this changeup, which has been so deadly for her, has gotten her a lot of strikeouts today with that pitch.
Here's Stefania Abriscato. Abriscato was ahead 3 balls and no strikes in her first at bat. Thought she had ball 4 and a pitch that was borderline toward the top of the zone. Tossed her bat, but was called back. Dave Reinicker, the home plate umpire, said strike 1. Grounded to short. Garcia, 2 down.
Garcia makes that look easy out there. Good hard hit ball, but Garcia has been great defensively for Oklahoma out at shortstop as a freshman.
Yeah, a couple of freshman shortstops. Obviously, Garcia offensively is in a different place early in her career than Madison Updegrove, who has done some good things at the plate for Missouri the last couple of weeks. But Garcia is playing at a level that essentially no freshman in the country is, at least hitting the ball. But both of them playing very good defense at shortstop, and you'd expect to see both of them getting a lot of innings at shortstop here in the SEC over the next 4 years. Going to get to know those names well. Updegrove struck out her first time. That didn't miss by much. 1 ball, 1 strike. One and 2. Both pitchers have responded really well from the respective home runs against them. McCann gave up the leadoff home run at the top of this inning to McEnroe Marinas, responded with 3 Sooners straight retired. Landry has put down 4 straight with a couple of Ks since the Crenshaw homer.
It sounded like the dugout was yelling sit on that changeup. I wonder if they've picked up on something that Landry is doing out there, if she's tipping her pitches to the dugout.
Little flinch. 3 and 2. Tapper back toward the circle. Barehand Landry getting over. 5 Tigers in a row retired by Landry since the homer. 1-1 after 4. By retiring Pickering, Garcia, and Parker. 3, 4, and 5 in the Oklahoma lineup in order to get out of that 4th inning. And she'll face 6, 7, 8 now in the 5th. Sydney Sanders, Ilana Agbayani, and Isabella Emmerling. In some ways, it sort of underscores what we talked about on Friday, which was that Marissa McCann, despite giving up 7 earned runs in less than 5 innings of work, did not pitch poorly. Sanders takes a strike. She just made a few too many mistakes. In this game, she's made 1 bad mistake that was punished, and in contrast to Friday, there wasn't any traffic on the bases at the time, so it doesn't hurt nearly as badly.
She's done a much better job today of making sure she's attacking hitters a lot more than she was on Friday night. She's getting ahead of the hitters, which makes her changeup a lot more effective. She can kind of throw the ball out of the zone where she was getting in trouble Friday night. She was getting so far behind, you know, going 2-0, 3-0 on hitters. And you don't want to have to throw the ball over the wide of the plate if you're facing this Oklahoma offense.
One ball, 1 strike on Sanders. She walked her first time. That was with 2 outs in the 2nd. Worked the count nicely. Up high, 3-1. Popped up left side, Updegrove for the out. Nearly a leadoff base runner on. Would have been the first time that either team has had the leadoff runner on, with the exception of McEnroe Marinas, who rounded the bases. In fact, neither pitcher in this game has thrown a pitch with a runner on base and fewer than 2 outs, because the only 2 hitters to reach base with fewer than 2 outs were on home runs. McEnroe Marinas in the 4th, Crenshaw in the 3rd.
Both pitchers being very efficient and effective, getting outs early in the inning. That limits the damage that all the offenses can do.
Strike to Ilana Agbayani, who flied to center her first time. Her dad, Benny, played 5 major league seasons with the Mets, Rockies, Red Sox. Also had significant success in Japan after his MLB career. To short for Updegrove, who has made both plays in the inning. Actually, Agbayani's dad, Benny, and former Missouri baseball coach Steve Beezer were teammates for a couple of months in 1997 with the Norfolk Tides, the Mets AAA affiliate. Two down for Emmerling. Grounded out to short her first time, still hitless in the series, 0 for 6. Though she's put the ball in play, all but 1 at bat. Patty Gasso was the coach talking all about trust the defense, don't have to be too perfect, but that's sort of how Marissa McCann has played it today. She has 3 strikeouts, not a bad number, but not overpowering the Sooners by any stretch.
She's really doing a great job of relying on her defense, not trying to make the perfect pitch, but making a good enough pitch to be able to get some big-time plays.
And there's the strikeout right on cue, her 4th. 1-2-3 inning for McCann yet again. We go to the bottom of the 5th. Still Missouri 1, Oklahoma 1. McCann gets Emmerling. 6 in a row retired by the Missouri right-hander. For Missouri in the climb toward a plus 500 record, which they have as it stands, but of course far fewer non-conference games remaining than those in the SEC. Sam Landry to Sophie Smith, a strike to start the home 5th. Smith, the number 7 hitter, will be followed by Addie Kohler and Claire Cahalan at the bottom of Mizzou's lineup. She had a double off the right field wall her first time against Landry today. 0-2.
If Missouri can get this series win against Oklahoma, that would be such a huge statement for them going into the rest of SEC play. After starting SEC play, getting swept by Kentucky, they're able to squeak this one out and get a series win against the #1 team in the nation. That's going to be big time for them in their resume.
Yeah, if you're a voter, what do you do with Missouri? 19-14 if they win this game again, which you're not saying they're going to, but if they did, 19-14. But they got swept by Kentucky, who's not especially good compared to the top of the SEC. But then they turn around and potentially, certainly take a game and potentially 2 from Oklahoma. Swing and a miss by Smith. Chased that one outside. 8th strikeout of the day for Landry.
Well, it's such a testament to the SEC top to bottom, exactly how hard that is going in every weekend. Great pitch by Landry. She throws this great curveball, and to right-handed hitters, that's going to break. It's going to start over the plate. It's going to break out of the zone. It's a really tough pitch to lay off of.
Ball 1 to Addie Kohler. She struck out her first time. 1 hit for Oklahoma, 3 for Missouri, although only one of those has really mattered. Dueling solo home runs in the space of just a few minutes. Crenshaw in the 3rd inning for Missouri. McEnroe-Marinas in the 4th for Oklahoma. Kohler bunts it foul, 1-2. Other than that, 5 or 6 minute stretch, whatever it was, it's been all Landry and McCann.
Landry was so impressive Friday night, and she just continued her dominance coming into this game. The home run she gave up to Crenshaw was not a bad pitch. It was out of the zone. Crenshaw just managed to get on top of that ball on a rise ball that's going to get, with someone who throws as hard as Landry does, it's a lot easier for that to get out of the park.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Kohler. There is action in both bullpens. Peyton Monticelli, the right-hander, is up and throwing for the Sooners. Kohler tops it to short, charging Garcia. Tough play. Kohler beat it.
Kohler kind of slapped. She drills this ball into the ground, so it's almost like a slap, but Garcia playing back like she would on a hitter who's just swinging away. Kohler's got some speed to her, manages to get down the line pretty quick.
Snaps a string of 6 Tigers in a row retired since the Crenshaw homer. First hit for either team, first base runner for either team since their respective home runs by their respective leadoff hitters. Or I should say McEnroe-Marinas hitting second today after she led off yesterday. And now Claire Cahalan, the 9 spot for Mizzou. Granted a second her first time. Shows bunt. 1 ball, 1 strike. Right side, Sanders gets the force. Relay to first, not nearly in time. Fielder's choice goes in the book 3-6. Kohler retired at second, 2 down, and Julia Crenshaw, the home run hitter, comes to the plate with Cahalan aboard at first.
Good heads-up play by Sanders to go ahead and get the go-ahead, or the runner who would have been at second, putting her in scoring position. With Crenshaw coming up, especially, who has a little bit of pop to her bat, doubles are much more likely from her. That's definitely going to score a runner from second.
Crenshaw takes a strike. Struck out in the first, then homered out to left in the 3rd. Her 9th of the year, second on the team behind Madison Walker, who stands on deck. Crenshaw late, 0-2. Cahalan does have 6 steals on the year. She's been caught once. Crenshaw, right field. Barker with the catch, and the inning is over. Missouri gets a 1-out base hit from Kohler.
Between McCann and Landry out there doing such a great job in the circle for both teams. One pitch for each has really led to the runs.
Sydney Barker, the 9-hitter for OU, leads off the 6th against Marissa McCann. Crowd today smaller than the record, more than 4,100 yesterday, but enough to add up the weekend total to 10,229, which is the most fans ever to see a regular season weekend series in Columbia. The only series that's ever beaten it was the 2024 Super Regional against Duke. More than 11,600 combined saw those 3 games.
A little chillier today, maybe led to a smaller crowd than yesterday. Yesterday, gorgeous day, great fan support out there, and Mizzou delivered for their fan base that showed up for them.
Yeah, I think you could make the argument that almost 3,000 today is in some ways similarly or even more impressive than more than 4,000 yesterday. Because it is not softball weather the way it was.
Lots of coats out there today.
2-2 on Barker. She popped up in foul ground to the third baseman Daly back in the 3rd inning. McCann's 2-2. 5th strikeout for Marissa McCann.
McCann's changeup has been so deadly for her today. She's really been able to rely on it for strikeouts, to keep the hitters off balance in the box. Used it here for this strikeout.
Off the outside corner, ball 1 to Abigail Dayton. Begins the 3rd time through the lineup for Marissa McCann. There is double barrel action in the Missouri bullpen. It's just such a tightrope for Larissa Anderson to walk. Has said that she wants to be more proactive with her pitching changes. Try to switch things up preemptively on hitters. She has a couple of switch up options out there. Right-hander Sierra Harrison, left-hander Taylor Pennell, who combined for the 7 innings of 1-run ball Missouri got yesterday.
Well, we saw yesterday Coach Anderson really had a quick hook with Harrison, who was throwing well, but was going deep into counts, and her pitch count was getting up there. She went to Pennell really early and didn't even let Harrison get into trouble at all. And Pennell came in her closer duties, just started him a little bit earlier in the game.
2-1 on Dayton. She has flied out to center and struck out looking. Only 2 base runners for Oklahoma against McCann. A 2nd inning Sanders walk, a 4th inning McEnroe Marinas homer. Low, and it's full on Dayton. Keep in mind, Dayton has 11 stolen bases this year, so not at all somebody McCann would want to put on for free. And that's not for free, but it'll work. Single up the middle. Just Oklahoma's 2nd hit in 18 at-bats as a team today. And it puts the potential go-ahead run on base in front of Nellie McEnroe Marinas, who has 3 home runs this weekend, including the big blow for the Sooners in this one.
Number 2, third baseman, Nellie
Dayton had a great at-bat there when she was able to drive that ball right back up the middle. She fouled off a couple tough pitches from McCann. Coach Anderson now going to go out and talk to her pitcher and her defense, really, just kind of settle everybody down late in the game. Top of the 6th inning, tie ball game against the #1 team in the nation.
Patty Gasso, of course, was flashing signs from the third base coaching box, but it would be a pretty big surprise to see much of anything. I mean, certainly you're not going to ask McEnroe Marinas to bunt with the series that she's had, and you'd think you'd be hesitant even to try to steal second base with Dayton because first base is scoring position for McEnroe Marinas as it's going right now.
With how much pop she has in her bat, even, you know, a double, Dayton has a lot of speed, so even on a double, she can score from first pretty easily.
Nelly McEnroe Marinas to hit. Cassidy Pickering on deck. McEnroe Marinas has popped up to second and homered. She is 4 out of 8 with 3 home runs this weekend. She pops it up. Updegrove fighting the sun, has the catch. She was on her way over to touch second just in case.
Just in case. That ball was sky high. The sun a little dangerous out there for the infielders, but Updegrove does a great job making that catch, but she was giving herself a little bit of insurance just by making sure she was close to second base if she had to be.
For you, what was the worst or most difficult type of sky to deal with on fly balls? Is it no clouds and really bright? Is it really cloudy and low?
No clouds and really bright, especially when, you know, that ball gets really high up in the air. It's really hard to track. Not necessarily hard to see, it's just hard to track that fly ball.
Missouri crowd thought that should have been strike one. But it's 1 ball, no strikes on Cassidy Pickering. Dayton at first, 2 down. The emotions of these kind of moments in the circle must be so difficult to manage. On the one hand, there's such the relief for her of getting through McEnroe Marinas, who has been so difficult for Missouri's entire pitching staff this weekend, not least Marissa McCann herself. But on the other hand, Cassidy Pickering's pretty darn good.
Well, that's really the difference in SEC play against all of the rest of your non-conference games. You can't take a pitch off. You can't take a batter off. It doesn't really matter if you're going to get through one of their best hitters. You still have to come back because at any point with this Oklahoma offense, they can put the ball out of the park.
Ooh. Missouri wasn't happy about the first pitch. Oklahoma's not going to be thrilled with that one. 2-2.
That ball's outside. Crenshaw set up out there, so you see she kind of fools the umpire, honestly. She was set up out there and McCann hit her glove.
Pickering, center field, Oklahoma on top. After 2 strikeouts and as many at-bats, Cassidy Pickering takes a 2-2 pitch out to center, and the Sooners lead 3-1.
Great at-bat by Pickering after striking out twice and really looking very uncomfortable at the plate against McCann. She's ahead in the count 2-0, comes back, getting it to 2-2. Does a great job on this pitch. It's outside. It's not a bad pitch by McCann. That ball's out of the zone. Pickering just does such a great job with her bat and getting that home run.
And that will be all for Marissa McCann. Taylor Pennell, who shut the door for Missouri yesterday in the Tigers' 3-1 win, will instead have to come on again. They've accounted for all 12 of the Sooners' homers in the series, of their runs in the series, and they take a 3-1 lead. Missouri down to its finalist 6 outs, but Taylor Pennell is tasked with just trying to keep the deficit at 2, working against Gabby Garcia. She has grounded out twice to Smith at second and to Walker on a rocket bouncer in the 4th. Just off the outside, 1-1. Anybody's guess out there in this inning.
Seen a little bit of a moving strike zone, floating.
I guess Pickering might be thankful for that 2-1 pitch that was way outside, getting called a strike, because all's well that ends well. Who knows what pitch she would have gotten on 3-1. Missouri might have said, forget it. We'll just not give her anything too good, move on to a fresh count.
Well, and really, the ball that McCann threw was up and out of the zone that Pickering swung at to get that home run.
Roller up first, awkward Pennell, nice backhand shovel to beat Garcia and retire the side. Oklahoma, as Patty Gasso has done earlier in this series, making some defensive changes, moving Abigail Dayton over to left field as opposed to center. Hannah Core comes into the game in center field, and Pickering will remain in right. Or I should say will move from left to right and take the spot previously occupied by Sydney Barker. Core is the substitution in for Barker. And she moves into center, causing the shuffling of the corner outfielders. Sam Landry back to work.
Now that OU has the lead, Coach Gasso trying to do everything she can to make sure that they keep that lead, right? So defensively becomes a lot more important than your offense at the moment.
Well, it shows you how much he values it, too, because Barker's spot, the number 5 slot in the lineup, would be scheduled to lead off in the top of the 7th inning. Ordinarily, coaches make those changes when that spot made the last out or the second to last out. You're going to be able to get 2 defensive innings without having to have that spot come up again, potentially. 1-2 pitch to Walker. Very late, but stays alive. Walker is struck out and flied out to rather deep right field.
This is definitely the most pitches that Walker has seen in an at-bat against Landry today. She's been very aggressive in the box. First, second pitch swinging. She's going a little bit deeper in the count here, fouling off some good pitches from Landry.
Chop slowly toward third. Tricky play. McEnroe Marinas beats Walker by a step.
McEnroe Marinas calls off her pitcher, saying, "Get out of here, that's my ball. I'm going to field it and make the throw to first base."
Infield defense has been excellent for Oklahoma the entire weekend long. Here's Cara Daly. Daly rips it to short, but it's speared by Garcia.
Nearly took Garcia's glove off there. That ball was absolutely smoked, just right at her. Sometimes it's going to happen in softball, right? You're going to have a really great hit, and you're going to get out, and then the next time you're going to just kind of fling one over the infielder and get a base hit. But
well, Daly's seen both in this game. She had the soft little chopper toward third for the infield hit earlier, and now a line out. So 2 out, and Taylor Ebbs will bat. Ground out to third and a strikeout on her card today. Missouri struck first today, just as the Tigers did yesterday, which is rare for Oklahoma. They score the first run the significant majority of the time, 2/3 of their 30 games now this year. Runs inside, and it hit Ebbs, and she got her bat out of the way in time. The Oklahoma dugout is saying that the bat might have still been out there, that she was offering of the pitch. She certainly did initially. And evidently, according to Dave Reinecker, our home plate umpire, Ebbs pulled it back. Oklahoma also might want to challenge that Ebbs wasn't hit at all. It sounded like it skimmed her.
yeah,
And generally speaking, because we don't always have the benefit of the sound, and that's not necessarily conclusive on the replays, generally speaking, one of those borderline calls in which the home plate umpire might have made the decision based part on what he heard is rarely overturned one way or the other on replay. So Missouri's going to pinch run Danielle Blackston for Ebbs at first base.
It's an interesting play by Ebbs. I don't necessarily think of her as someone who's going to try and bunt for a hit, especially with 2 outs. She's got a lot of pop to her bat. I think of her more as a home run, a power hitter. So interesting to see her trying to bunt for a hit there.
Missouri has had runners on in most innings. Sam Landry's been able to work around them. Just the 1 run on the Crenshaw solo shot in the 3rd. Here's Stefania Abbruscato. Big cut in front of a changeup. Abbruscato was thinking about tying the game. She does have 2 home runs this year, more of a gap power hitter with 10 doubles, tied with Crenshaw for the team lead. One ball and 1 strike. Abbruscato down the line, but pulled it foul. And they're shading her slightly to the opposite field in the outfield. Not by a lot, especially the right fielder Pickering now. She's leaving a lot of room in right center, but that would have been a long way to go for Pickering had the ball been on the chalk. Probably would have liked Blackston's chances to score. 1-2. Abbruscato hit by the pitch, but she swung and missed. That's strike 3, and the inning is over. Sam Landry gets a strikeout under the most unusual circumstances. Her 10th. The Missouri coaching staff is complaining, but unless they're saying she made contact, it doesn't matter the ball hit her. She swung and missed. Abbruscato with a painful strikeout. So Blackston takes Abbruscato's spot in right. Ella Parker will be the first to hit for Oklahoma, to be followed by Sydney Standers and Elana Agbayani. Parker has grounded to second and flied to center in her 2 trips, both of those against Missouri starter Marissa McCann. And now she'll deal with Taylor Pennell. You know, we showed those long faces in the Missouri dugout. That pitch didn't miss by much. In some ways, as you see Blackston there remaining in the game in right field, that's a testament to what Missouri has already accomplished from a program standpoint, from a locker room standpoint, by winning yesterday and playing such competitive softball today, regardless of the result. Because when they went to bed on Friday night, they were 0-4 in the SEC. They had been swept by, in theory, one of the other bottom few teams in the league based on expectations coming into conference play. And they were probably wondering what it was going to take to win a single SEC game this year. Now they're disappointed they didn't win the series against Oklahoma, but they still could. But even if they don't, they're feeling disappointed about that, which is a totally different level of expectation than would have been around this team, and a different level of confidence than would have been around them coming into the weekend. Yeah,
and you don't want to talk about moral victories, but I do think this is definitely a mind shift for this team of, yes, we got run ruled by Oklahoma on Friday night. We came back, we beat them. We know we have the pitching that can do it, and we know we have the bats that can do it. It gives them so much confidence going into the rest of the SEC season, knowing that, you know, you're going to face the top teams in the nation, but you can play with them and you can beat them.
From 3-0 to 3-2, payoff pitch now to Ella Parker. And she'll see another. You know, normally we do preface things that way, but I'm happy to say in this context, if I were a Missouri fan, I would talk about moral victories. I mean, this is, no matter what happens, this weekend has been a dramatic victory for Missouri from a moral standpoint, and they got one actual victory out of it to boot.
When I think really the best victory is in the circle for Mizzou. The pitchers have stepped up. I know they got run ruled on Friday night, and like I said, it was a quiet run rule. They gave up some home runs after they had runners in scoring position, but really, you know, the 3 home runs are what did it for them. But in the circle, all the pitchers have been so impressive for Missouri this weekend.
And from an Oklahoma standpoint, ironically, Parker back to the circle. Pennell makes another good defensive play, one away. The level of competitiveness in this game, in some ways, at least from my perspective, makes yesterday a little less damaging, because yesterday I walked away saying, wow, what a massive upset. How disappointing for Oklahoma to lose to a Missouri team that's likely to be toward the bottom of the SEC. Now I'm wondering, maybe Missouri is finding its footing a little bit and not going to be the SEC bottom quarter team that we would have expected, at least after non-conference.
Well, they've finally gotten some home games under their belt too, right? They went on the road for almost an entire month where they were playing this top-notch competition every single weekend and even during the middle of the week. So being able to come back home, get comfortable, sleep in your own bed, you can see they're just a lot more comfortable and confident out there.
And what you'll hear from one SEC coach after another is every weekend is a battle. Oftentimes you'll play what feels like 3, 4, 5, 6 super regionals in a row. Every weekend on the road is an even bigger battle. Any series you can win on the road. I don't care who you're facing. You know, I mean, at this point, with how tough the SEC is, you could go on the road to Vanderbilt, the non-existent 16th team in SEC softball. You still feel good about getting a sweep.
It's just, it sounds like we say it all the time, and we do, but every single weekend is like a super regional for the SEC teams, and that can be exhausting. And then you go into the SEC tournament where you got to face the same teams. You kind of beat up on each other all year. You got to face the same teams going into the tournament, and then heading into postseason, you're likely to see some SEC teams in your regional or super regional.
Smoked to short, bobbled by Updegrove. Sanders beats it. Will likely go as an Updegrove error because it was in her glove, but Sanders got a lot of that one.
Sanders hit that ball really hard. She moves down the line pretty quick. She's got some speed to her. Updegrove bobbles it once, realizes, I don't want to take a chance of throwing this ball away. Does a great job holding on to it. You can see her getting way more comfortable out there and making decisions as a freshman.
Patty Gasso is going to use a pinch runner. Tia Malloy, who pinch ran yesterday for Sydney Sanders, does the same in the 7th inning today. Did officially go on the board as a Missouri error. It's only Missouri's 2nd error of the weekend. Oklahoma officially has 3. Though Sanders took kind of a hard luck error yesterday. And then there was the catcher's interference that goes in the book as an error, but doesn't really indicate unclean defense because Oklahoma has been anything but unclean defensively. Overall, this has been a really high level of softball, especially games 2 and 3. We've seen really good pitching out of both teams. And game 1, we saw excellent pitching from Sam Landry. It was just more one-sided.
And really great defense from both teams. I think, you know, when we talked to Coach Gasso earlier in the week, she mentioned she wanted her defense to be clean and sharp, and she really wanted her pitchers to rely on them. Landry's had a lot more strikeouts today than she did on Friday night, but very good, clean, sharp defense from both teams.
Jam shot pop-up out of Daly's reach. Be kind of funny if they got on the bus after this game and Patty said, hey, I told you not so many damn strikeouts.
Right? I told you, I want you to use your defense behind you.
Our outfielders are getting bored out there, Sam.
That's right. Make them move around a little bit.
Malloy on the move, ball fouled off. I don't know if I can get away with a second Bull Durham reference in as many days this weekend, but strikeouts are boring, and beyond that, they're fascist. Or some ground balls, more democratic.
2 great quotes from Bull Durham.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we're giving people their money's worth, but it's just, you know, it's a little one-dimensional. Inside. Been really impressed with Agbayani's at-bats this weekend, too. She doesn't have quite the level of raw power that the top half of the lineup does, but she is annoying to face.
She was phenomenal at the plate yesterday. Really the bright spot, minus the home run, obviously, from McEnroe Maneras, but Agbayani has been great at the plate this series.
Love hitters who can take pitches with 2 strikes really quietly the way she has. Back to Pennell. Spun all the way around. For a second, I thought she was going to second base. She didn't really get her front foot all the way around, but she makes the play.
That's where it's so tough for lefty pitchers having to spin all the way around. You mentioned it yesterday. Now with the pitchers wearing masks, that can kind of come off balance and really be in their sight line. She does a good job. She looked at second base. I'm not sure she was all the way around to make that throw to first base.
Emmerling is going to be the batter after this visit to the circle by Larissa Anderson. Missouri, if you're wondering, will have 6, 7, and 8 scheduled in the bottom of the 7th inning, presumably against Sam Landry. Madison Updegrove, Sophie Smith, and Addie Kohler, the scheduled batters, who between them have played virtually 0 SEC softball. So maybe there's a possibility of a pinch hitter or 2, but there aren't a lot of options on Larissa Anderson's bench. Abby Hay, the Tigers' primary first baseman, who was so good in all SEC last year as a freshman, has battled some struggles this year, especially hitting for average, and has been out this weekend with an undisclosed injury labeled day-to-day. That's the reason for the defensive shuffling, and Updegrove has played great shortstop. Sophie Smith has been good defensively at second base, popped in a nice double today. Good block by Crenshaw to keep Malloy at second base. So you wonder exactly how Larissa Anderson will handle things defensively. Potentially Sophie Smith squeezed out again and back to the bench when Hay is healthy. Ripped down the third baseline, fair ball. Malloy will score. First hit of the weekend for Emmerling, and it's a big one. An RBI double, and Oklahoma extends the lead. It's 4-1. All 3 runs for the Sooners in the last 2 innings have scored with 2 outs on big blows for extra bases.
Well, this is something we didn't see from the Oklahoma offense yesterday. They weren't getting that timely hit, that situational hit where they had runners in scoring position. And that's definitely been the difference maker today for them, coming up big with runners in scoring position.
It's a good point. After 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position yesterday, that makes OU 1 for 1 today. First at bat with a runner in scoring position, because the 2-run homer came with a runner at first. Hannah Core will bat. Oklahoma going to another pinch runner, by the way. Maya Bland is in at second for Emmerling. Might as well unload the bench options. And Core will remain in and bat for herself so that OU can keep her glove in center field in the bottom of this 7th inning. Now with a 3-run lead. Third at bat of the series for Core. She is 0 for 2, has a sacrifice. Just low, 2-1.
Pennell hasn't been able to locate her changeup as well today as she was using it yesterday. When she can throw that in for a strike, it really throws the hitters off.
Sliced into right field, a base hit. In comes Bland to score, an RBI single for Core, and Oklahoma puts up another pair in the 7th to make it 5-1 Sooners. Top-ranked OU getting its revenge after a first loss of the year yesterday.
And Core kind of has this inside-out swing to get the single here to score the runner from second base, but Something we haven't seen from the OU offense is really having to manufacture runs, and that is something that they've done really well today, you know, especially in these last couple innings, is get runners on and move them over and get some big-time timely hits.
Oklahoma pinch hitter in the number 9 spot is Corey Hicks, who's making her first appearance of the weekend. Freshman out of San Jose, California, who got her first career start against East Texas A&M on Wednesday in that run rule Oklahoma victory. She is 0 for 8 with 3 walks on her young collegiate career. She has not struck out, though. Put the ball in play 8 times without a hit. A little unlucky. Ripped into center field, the first collegiate hit for Corey Hicks. And the Sooners dugout goes wild.
Hicks not trying to do too much here, just takes this ball right back up the middle from Pennell. Hicks must have heard you with the, I'm going to put the ball in play, and haven't gotten a hit yet, so it's an opposite of a jinx.
How cool is that? And Dayton re-enters right away, so the dugout gets their hands on Hicks for a celebration immediately. That's going to be all for Pennell. Sierra Harrison is going to come on for Missouri, trying to keep the deficit at 4 with Nelly McEnroe-Marina scheduled to bat, looking for a 4th home run of the weekend series. 2 Sooners in, 2 Sooners on, and Upton is on with just 1 out left to get Mizzou bats back into the dugout, with the deficit having grown from 2 to 4 in this 7th inning. And Nelly McEnroe-Marinas, the batter for the Sooners, with Hannah Core at second base after her RBI single, and Abigail Dayton, the runner at first, after a pinch hit single by Corey Hicks, the first of her collegiate career. There really is nothing at the collegiate level, the professional level, like watching somebody get a first hit. It is a really special thing.
And then seeing the dugout react to it and how excited they were for her. So it's just fun to watch and see your teammates be excited for everybody.
Those moments of reflection where you think about everything that she has done to get to a place like this, everything all these kids have done, all the work they've put in, everything they've sacrificed, everything their families, their loved ones have given up in supporting them, all the rides to practice, all the weekends spent watching games. One, 2. McEnroe-Marina stays alive. She has popped up, homered, and popped up again. That last one was, I don't know, 5, 6 stories up in the air.
It's a tough ball. She has so much power at the plate. You can see she's just such great hand-eye coordination, really extends her bat. Just such a deadly hitter.
2-2. Two on, 2 out, and the 2-2 pitch. Again, it'll be 6, 7, 8. Updegrove, Smith, and Kohler scheduled for Missouri in the bottom of the 7th inning, though Larissa Anderson has used almost none of her bench in this game. Danielle Blackston pinch ran. That was the extent of it. She's still in, playing right field. Off speed, McEnroe-Marina stays on it. Wave and a miss by McEnroe. Gabriel Marinas. She goes down on strikes. Harrison does her job out of the bullpen, but Missouri has a job to do with the home. And the Sooners have added 2 runs in the 6th, 2 more in the 7th to go up by 4. Maya Dodge will pinch hit for Missouri to start the inning. And it looks like we're going to get a second pinch hitter right behind her in Hayden Sokolowski. Updegrove and Smith were the first 2 scheduled hitters for Mizzou. But Dodge will get her second plate appearance of the series. She walked on 4 pitches off the bench yesterday. Ooh.
Coach Anderson trying to change things up for her offense, seeing if she can get a little bit of spark from a pinch hitter coming off the bench here, doing whatever she can to see if she can get some offense on the board in this bottom half of the 7th.
By the way, with March Madness in full tilt and what should be a great women's tournament underway across the ESPN networks, I would be remiss if we didn't mention your Oklahoma connection. Outside 2 or over the outside 2-2. Your sister, Nikki Hayes Fort, and the Oklahoma women's basketball team got a good win in Norman over FGCU yesterday, and tomorrow afternoon, 3 o'clock on ESPN against 6-seeded Iowa.
It's going to be a great series for them. It's a little bit, it confuses my college self to have to cheer for my sister, who's at OU now, and they have a great staff and doing a great job with women's basketball. But very confusing for my former college self.
Payoff to Dodge, and she checked her swing and got a piece. Big smile. They've gotten that program going really quickly down in Norman, and obviously work to do, but should be the favorite at least tomorrow to get themselves through to the Sweet 16 in Spokane. Got a tough Spokane region, though. They pulled USC as their top seed and UConn as their 2 seed.
I'm not sure any of those 3 teams are happy that they're all going to have to meet up together.
Payoff again to Dodge. To short, Garcia vacuums it in. 1 away.
Garcia's so impressive out there at shortstop. She does not play like a freshman. She's so confident out there. Very smooth.
Landry, a complete game, 1-hit shutout on Friday, albeit in 5 innings, with Oklahoma winning 8-0. Here's Hayden Sokolowski. Oklahoma State transfer takes a strike. Landry has a chance to truly go the distance with 2 more outs today. Just the 1 run on 4 hits. Back to the circle. Easy as you like. 2 gone. Landry has neither walked nor hit a batter. She has struck out 9. Should say she did hit 1. She hit Ebbs, and really she hit 2 because she hit Abrascato, but she got the strikeout for it. As Abrascato swung and missed at the pitch. As good as OU has been, it is worth reminding folks, especially who haven't been watching the Sooners all year, that it hasn't necessarily come easy for them all the time. In fact, this would be the 11th time in their 29 wins, if they get this one, that they've come from behind to win a game. So they've trailed at least at some point in 12 out of their 30 games this year, and only once have they lost the game. It was yesterday.
Well, even though they haven't had a lot of adversity with losing games, having to bounce back and get the win, they have had adversity during the game, having to play from behind.
Oklahoma 1 strike away from a series victory and restoring order to the Norman universe. One, two. Kohler to the circle. Sam Landry fittingly finishes it. It was Sam Landry's world this weekend. The reigning SEC pitcher of the week gives up just 1 run over 12 innings in the series, and he locks up a 2-1 series victory for the Sooners.
Sam Landry was so great in the circle Friday and today. Came out, really quieted the Missouri bats, and just did a phenomenal job shutting them down.
Missouri gets the biggest win of the weekend.